Hey guys, SpinoDude here and welcome back to another video. Marvin, bring out the figure we're going to take a look at today. Thank you, Marvin. Alrighty, so today guys, I am super excited to be able to take a look at the first ever Eofauna figure on the channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at their latest release currently that's for sale, which is the 2019 Eofauna Giganotosaurus. Now I got this figure at dansdinosaurs.com. I want to send a thank you out to Dan for his great service and very efficient shipping. And without further ado, let's jump into taking a closer look at this figure. But before we take a look at the figure, I'm going to scoot it back here and we're going to look at the collector's card that comes with this Giganotosaurus figure. Also guys, you probably noticed I have a different set going here with some new lights. I got some LED lights and a new area to record. I wanted to try something different, so let me know what you think of it down below. But anyway, here is the card that comes with the Giganotosaurus. Absolutely beautiful artwork in the same pose as the figure, which is really cool because you get to see the same Giganotosaurus in the same pose way back in the Cretaceous period of South America. And there goes my phone in the background, very sorry about that. But the card just says Giganotosaurus. We have what appear to be like shurikens up in the top there or something. The artwork is glorious. Absolutely love the pterosaurs in the background and the whole environment. Really makes it look like a triumphant predator there. We have a size comparison, the full scientific name, it says it's from South America, and then some more stats down at the bottom here. If you want to read those, you can pause the video. Here, I'll zoom in on them a little bit more. But that's just about it for the collector's card. Really cool that Eofauna is including these with their figures. You can see they have the logo on the back there. It says www.eofauna.com. But I think it's awesome that they're including these with the Eofauna figures. Makes them feel more like collectibles. You get a cool card and a really cool figure. And I've just ordered some trading card stands, so I'm going to be displaying the Giganotosaurus, as well as another Eofauna figure that I got recently that we're going to review with the cards right next to them, which I think is going to be awesome, so standing up like this. But anyway, I'll do a collection update video when those arrive, but that's the collector's card, and now let's jump into the Giganotosaurus itself. And my goodness, guys, if you need a definitive, if you're a dinosaur nerd and are really into like the science behind the animals and how they actually looked and everything, and you're a fan of Giganotosaurus, this is the definitive figure for you. This thing is absolutely amazing. Now, I am a little bit late to the party for reviewing this figure, but I have to say, I just wasn't a huge fan of it when it came out. I don't know why, but I was kind of burnt out on Giganotosaurus. It just felt like we were getting a lot of them, but I'm so happy that I've given this figure a chance and decided to pick it up now because it is one of my favorites in my collection. It's so elegant, the stride, the pose, the weight this thing carries, the details, and just for portraying Giganotosaurus so amazingly well, this thing is just, it's one of the stars of my collection, I've got to say. Now, one thing that stood out to me that I didn't like about this figure when it was first revealed was the color scheme. And in some of the in-hand images, the colors just felt uninspired to me and not very interesting, while the sculpt was really cool and everything. So I felt it was kind of a missed opportunity to do something a little more exotic, I guess, for the colors. But I take that back 100% now. The colors, while they could have been a little more maybe vibrant and creative in some way, because it's just different shades of brown here with some yellowish orange on the crests, which we'll get to when you look at it closer up. I think that the colors just sell the realism of this figure even better than what it already is sculpt-wise. I mean, they're naturalistic, the patterns would work well for camouflaging in undergrowth, in my opinion, just from looking at them. I think it's great. We do have socks and mittens. I'm crazy about socks and mittens on dinosaur coloration. I think it's just it just adds so much to the figure, and I love how that's in a darker black color while the rest is in different shades of brown. We do have some breaking up of the patterns across the body with the stripes going down the top of the body there, as you can see, and getting larger down the tail and turning into some banding down the tail, which doesn't go completely around the tail. And then we have some spots on the midsection here, and then lovely striping on the face, which we'll take a closer look at when we look at the face. But zooming in to the figure here, and let me adjust my lights a little bit better here in the camera so we can take a look at this. But you can see the detailing is absolutely wonderful on this figure. The wrinkles and folds in the skin are beautifully done. There are even tiny, tiny little scales, if you can see them there, sculpted out. And there are different size scales throughout. They're not very prominent on the figure, but they are realistically sized for the scale that this figure is in, which is fantastic. And I love the wrinkles and folds on the neck there as well. Looks absolutely beautiful. Let's spin around to this side. You can see the skin is stretching on this leg here because it is being pulled back, whereas on this side the leg is pushing forward, which is great. The tail is very rigid. Definitely didn't skimp out on the size of the tail either, which is a very common thing for dinosaur figures to do. Nice rigid tail, a little bit of flow to it so it's not too stiff, but definitely looks like it could keep this creature well balanced in real life. Let's take a closer look at the hands here. If my camera will focus. There we go. The hands don't have anything incredibly special on them, but they are the correct size, and they are not pronated, which is great, of course, to see. The claws are done in a black color, a little bit of a different shade of color in comparison to the color of the mittens or the socks on the animal, which I think is fine. It's not too noticeable that they are a different color, but it's a nice little attention to detail for Eofauna's part. Here are the feet for the Giganotosaurus. Beautifully sculpted, very bird-like feet. I love the padding detail on them, and once again the wrinkles and folds. I especially love this foot that's lifting off of the ground at the back here. Absolutely gorgeous sculpt work has went into that foot. The padding, once again, is beautiful. And this figure, for having a fairly dynamic pose, it is quite stable, I have to say. I was expecting it to tip over more often. It is a little bit on the wobbly side, but for having a fairly dynamic pose like this, that's very naturalistic. It works out really, really well, in my opinion. I absolutely love that foot, especially when it's planted on the ground. You can really just see this animal walking. But anyway, let's take a closer look at the head here quickly. So let's zoom in, and here is the head. This is Giganotosaurus. That is exactly what Giganotosaurus looked like. I mean, there is what appear to be a little bit of shrink wrapping on the face. It appears that way. Maybe it's just me, but just the way the fenestra is kind of sinking in a little bit right before the, the bulge comes out where the eye is and everything right under the crests there. It does appear like there is a little bit of shrink wrapping. It's really not noticeable though. It's nowhere near as bad as on other dinosaur figures. Now, one thing I have to say, first of all, I want to say the nostrils are beautifully sculpted, and you can see what I mean about the crests there in a sort of yellowish orange color. With some browns mixed in there, but that is a nice little addition to change up some colors on the head. The eye is beautifully done there, beautifully painted with that tiny black pupil. They are done in a bold yellow color. And one thing that does kind of bug me is that the jaws don't close all the way. It looks fine to me, but I think I would have liked it if the jaws closed completely. And you can even see there is a little bit of give there where it could have done that, but I mean, if you tilt the head slightly like this, it does look like it's closed all the way. But this figure looks equally as good with the jaw open or closed, in my opinion, as far as the anatomy goes for the shaping of the head, etc. Here it is with the mouth open. Very sturdy jaw as well. It doesn't feel like this thing is going to break or loosen up over time, or get too loose, if you know what I mean, in comparison to some other articulated jaws. Very well done articulated jaw. I hope we get to see some more from Eofauna in the future. The interior of the mouth is a very bold, like pinkish red color, very, very bright, and I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I have to say it is growing on me. Looks pretty cool. Could be duller to sell the realism of it a little bit more, I suppose, but to be honest, I think just the boldness of the color looks cool. And there are really nice details on the interior of the mouth. You can see the roof of the mouth there has beautiful details. It's a little bit hard to see in there, but you can probably see that. The tongue is beautifully sculpted as well, and it is suggested that theropods would not have been able to lift and move their tongue like we humans can do. So the tongue is planted on the bottom of the mouth there, which is great as well. And as far as the throat goes, looking way back, I think that looks great for a figure with an articulated jaw. Usually it's super obvious looking way back in the throat, especially that this figure has an articulated jaw, but In this case, it looks really, really nice. Also, looking from the bottom, there is some gapping where the jaw can move, but it's not too obvious, and you're not going to be looking at it from this angle anyway. There's a little bit of gapping on the top of the neck there, where the head attaches to the neck, but once again, really not too bad in my opinion. Teeth are very nicely sculpted and painted as well, individually sculpted. Not too large, not too small, and very nicely painted for their size, I have to say. Now this figure is very large. It is actually a little bit larger than I was expecting it to be, and it's quite heavy as well. This thing is absolutely solid. In some of the pictures I was expecting it to have a softer material, especially around the jaws, but it is a solid figure, which is great. So why don't we give this figure a quick measure? So Marvin, bring out the flexi ruler. Thank you, Marvin. All right, so we've got our trusty flexi ruler here. So in terms of the length from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, we're looking at about 13.5 inches. It's actually longer than our flexi ruler here, which would probably be about 34, 35 centimeters. And in terms of the height at the highest point, which is the top of the head here, we are looking at about 4.5 inches, which is about 11 centimeters. And for a quick comparison on this figure, let's move the Giganotosaurus off to the side here. I'm going to bring out the recently reviewed Papo Gorgosaurus. Papo Gorgosaurus has some gorgeous details, but it does have a rather unflattering pose, and it does have proportional issues as well. The Giganotosaurus just totally blows that out of the water, in my opinion. This thing is absolutely beautiful, just for the anatomical accuracy anyway. I will say the paint is much better applied on Papo's Gorgosaurus here, and the detail is much more crisp, but in my opinion the detail is more realistic for the size of this Giganotosaurus here, and the paint works for the style of figure it is, and for Eofauna's first dinosaur, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So we're going to bring that out of the way, and that, guys, is going to do it for this review of the 2019 Eofauna Giganotosaurus. I'm going to bring the collector's card out here as well, and let's zoom in on them. So I think this figure is absolutely fantastic. If you guys want to pick one up for yourself, I recommend checking out dansdinosaurs.com. I'll put a link down below in the description, and let me know what you think of this one down below. So anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel, and as always, I will see you in my next video. So take care, and bye-bye.